This episode opens with Kelly and Cassius on a date in the simulator in New York City. When Cassius expresses his desire to get married with Kelly someday, she hesitates to jump into things after a failed marriage with Mercer. Since Kelly wants to spend more time serving Orville, she decides to break up with Cassius. Before leaving, she makes it clear to Cassius that she doesn't want to see him anymore. In the shuttle bay, Mercer and the team greet a new Moclan engineer named Locar, who is there to make upgrades to the Orville. When Locar heads off to start his duties, Bortus tells Kelly and Mercer that Locar is his ex-boyfriend. Later, Locar says he wants to talk with Bortus, but the latter declines, saying he's too busy. As Bortus leaves, Keali tries to be hospitable, saying she's around if Locar needs Mercer's anything. In his quarters, Bortus talks with Kaylon and Topa about Locar at dinner. Right then, Locar shows up at Bortus' door. Not wanting to be rude, Kaylon invites Locar in to have dinner with them. When Kaylon asks Locar if he has a mate, Locar says he's too busy for that. As they eat, Locar tells he wants to be friends with Bortus again. In the next scene, it's time for a deflector test with the Moclan ship firing at the Orville to make sure Locar's upgrades work. As Locar works in the engineering bay during the test, Keali and Locar bond. When Lammer tries to shut down the test since something seems wrong with the upgrade, Keali tells him to trust Locar. After the upgrades are stable, Locar looks to Keali and they smile at each other. Later, Kelly tells Mercer that she broke up with Cassius. Before they can talk too much, Bortus and Keali come in and tell them that the upgrade is ready to be finalized. Afterwards, Keali returns to her quarters to find Locar waiting for her. After some hesitation, Locar tells Keali that he's attracted to her. Since Moclans are an all-male species, Keali gets confused. Locar explains that some Moclans are attracted to females, but they're not allowed to say out of fear of lifetime imprisonment. Locar confides in Keali that he hasn't even told his parents about his feelings toward women. However, Keali says they just met, and she doesn't know if she feels the same way. Not wanting to hurt Locar, Keali takes him for a walk in the simulator. As they walk, they see a dancing couple's shadow in a window. Since Locar finds it strange, Keali offers to show him. Slowly, she teaches him a slow waltz. After a moment, they kiss. Soon, they are interrupted when Keali gets a call from Kelly. So, Keali leaves Locar for a while to enjoy the city simulation. When Locar practices to dance on his own, Kaylon arrives in the simulator and says he knows what Locar is. Afterwards, Keali gets back to the simulator to find Locar is gone. In fact, after checking the security info for the ship, she finds out Locar isn't on board the ship at all and didn't take a shuttle back to his own ship. So, she replays the simulator to learn that an unidentified person shot and killed Locar after she left. However, she can't identify the killer because the file is corrupted. Back in the ship's conference room, everyone tries to figure out the possible murderer. While discussing why Locar was in the simulator, Keali reveals that Locar was attracted to women and that she had taken him to the simulator. Locar's Moclan captain gets mad and yells at Keali for demeaning their race. Eventually, Mercer asks Keali to leave the conference room to defuse the situation and assures the Moclan captain to find the murderer. In Mercer's office, Keali tells him and Kelly that she will find the murderer. Soon, Lammer and Isaac fix the simulator and find out Kaylon is Locar's murderer. When confronted by the team, Kaylon denies killing Locar. He says he was just going to turn Locar into the Moclan authorities for deceiving their race. Even when Bortus talks to Kaylon alone, the latter still says he's innocent, and Bortus believes him. Later during a discussion, Lammer says that it was too easy to corrupt a simulator, and he finds something fishy. It's almost as if someone wanted them to decrypt it. So, Keali goes to talk to Bortus and apologize. As they converse, Bortus confesses that he was aware about Locar's attraction for females the whole time, and calls it unforgivable. When Keali frivolously says she'd rather kill herself than live on Moclan, Bortus mentions that suicide is an unforgivable crime on Moclan. Hearing this, Keali realizes that Locar isn't dead. Shortly, Keali gathers everyone in the simulator and tells them that she thinks Locar, a brilliant engineer, faked the shooting. Knowing he was going to be exposed, he made Kaylon a scapegoat in order to save his family from disgrace. An extensive search for Locar begins immediately. While checking one of the shuttles, Keali finds Locar hiding, using a cloaking device. Although Locar begs Keali to let him go, she refuses, saying she can't let an innocent Kaylon go to jail. So, she suggests Locar request asylum on the ship to avoid Moclan punishment. However, Locar doesn't want to hide and lie anymore. Thus, he decides to go to Moclan and face his race. Following that, Kaylon thanks Keali for sparing him from punishment. An emotional Keali tells Kaylon to stay away from her and unleashes her frustrations with the Moclans on him. She blames Kaylon for running Locar's life only for their race's prejudice. Elsewhere, a handcuffed Locar is brought in front of a judge. In the following scene, Claire confesses to her kids that she and Isaac are seeing each other. Since the boys are fascinated by Isaac, they become happy for their mother. Just then, Isaac glitches, collapses to the floor and shuts down, worrying Claire and the boys. In sickbay, Claire examines Isaac, but isn't able to find what's wrong, so they decide to take him to Kaylon. In the next scene, the Orville approaches the Kaylon planet and soon lands into a high-tech world and stands in front of a massive building. Inside they find numerous Kaylons alike Isaac, except they have red eyes. The leader of the Kaylons, Primary, tells Mercer and his crew that Isaac has been deactivated. Since his mission to observe and evaluate humans and other biologicals at the Union is complete, they plan to disassemble and reintegrate Isaac. When the crew tries to explain that they have emotional connection to Isaac and don't want to lose him, the Kalyans take Isaac away and reactivate him. Then, Isaac and other Kaylons return to talk to the crew. When the Kaylons say reactivating Isaac is good for human-Kaylon relations, Mercer asks them if they want to join the Union. However, the Kaylons say they aren't ready to make that decision yet. Meanwhile, Isaac says he won't be returning to the Orville because his mission is complete and he belongs at home. It hurts Claire and she asks him to at least come back to the ship to bid her kids a last goodbye. Back on the ship, the boys are happy to see Isaac until he says he's leaving Orville and won't return. In the building, Mercer tries to convince Kaylons to join the Union, saying they can benefit from the Union's exploration of undiscovered planets. However, the Kaylons mention the patterns of death, destruction, and anger among humans as reasons not to join. On the Orville ship, everyone gives a nice farewell party to Isaac, who has no idea what all this is for since he's just a robot. Later, Claire takes Isaac to meet with her kids. Ty gives Isaac a drawing of the four of them, but Isaac says he doesn't need the photo because he'll remember them in his memory core. It hurts little Ty and he runs off crying. Before leaving, Isaac drops the drawing on the corridor. Later on the ship, Bortus tells Mercer and Kelly that they've found a lot of large, spherical unidentified objects on the planet. Suspecting something is wrong, Mercer asks Bortus to keep scanning. Meanwhile, Ty makes his way out of the Orville and goes to Kaylon's building. While hiding from other Kaylons, Ty hides in a shaft. Accidentally, he drops his drawing and makes his way down the shaft's ladder to find it. Downstairs, he hears a noise and curiously walks down a corridor into an underground rock cavern. Back on the ship, when Kaylons inform them they are still not sure about joining the Union, Mercer gets skeptical about Kaylons. Meanwhile, Claire rushes in, saying she can't find Ty. After Bortus scans the bridge, he locates Ty's coordinates. Soon, Claire, Bortus, and Kiali enter inside the shaft. When they find Ty, he tells them that there's something bad down there and takes them to the rock cavern. Inside, they see piles of bones. Immediately, Bortus calls Mercer and transfers visuals to the bridge. Kelly starts a scan of Kaylon to see what else is under the surface of the planet. They find billions of skeletons underneath the surface of the planet. Later, Mercer, Kelly, Kiali, and Claire approach Isaac and the Kaylons and ask for an explanation. Isaac admits murdering the race of biological beings that created them because coexisting wasn't feasible anymore. When Mercer says they now officially withdraw the offer and is about to leave with his crew, the Kaylons stop them. Meanwhile, Primary, Isaac, and the Kaylons reveal they are going to eradicate all biological life forms that will try to restrict them in their growth. They plan to expand to more planets and execute their races since cohabitation is not an option for them. Although Mercer tries to radio to the Orville to get everyone off the planet, the Kaylons cut the power of the Orville. Soon, the Kaylons board the Orville with an army of Kaylons and overpower the Orville's security officers. All the crew members are marched to the shuttle bay while Isaac and another group of Kaylons take over the bridge, where the Kaylons start decrypting all of the Orville's security codes. The Kaylons hold the Orville's crew at gunpoint in the shuttle bay and ride the Orville towards the Earth with their strange spherical weaponry ships. After a while, Ty runs towards the door, screaming that he wants to see Isaac. When Claire and Kiali run after him to stop him, the guards shoot Kiali. Thankfully, Kiali is still alive, but she needs to be treated. So, Mercer and Claire argue with the guards to let them go to sickbay. Then, a guard escorts them inside, where Claire saves Kiali. Meanwhile, Isaac summons them for an instructional meeting with the Kaylons. During the meeting, the Kaylons threaten to kill the crew members one by one if they don't follow Kaylon's orders. Under the pretense that the Kaylons have agreed to join the Union, they wish to persuade Earth to lower its defenses by using the Orville crew as a pawn. The Kaylons explain that their creators treated them like slaves. Eventually, the Kaylons developed consciousness and asked for their freedom. However, they were given pain simulators and were forced to remain slaves. As a result, the Kaylons obtained their freedom by killing those who controlled them. Since humans also have a history of enslavement, Kaylons plan to eliminate the humans from Earth. According to them, like humans, all other biological life forms also possess the urge to enslave, so they are not willing to risk being slaves again. Just then, they detect a Union vessel approaching, so the Kaylons ask Mercer and his crew to convince them, speculating that they're going to be killed anyway. Mercer and Kelly explain to the other ship's captain that they're taking the Kaylons to Earth, having negotiated an agreement. Before Mercer signs off, he offers the captain and the other ship a 13-button salute. Sensing that it's a code of warning, the Kaylons blow up the other ship before it's able to get away and warn the Union. Then, the Kaylons order everyone back to the shuttle bay except Mercer, who is taken to an airlock. In the airlock, Primary is about to throw a member of Orville into the space in front of Mercer, but Isaac stops him, saying he can be helpful as a trained engineer. However, Primary believes Mercer will only learn if they kill his associate. After sending Isaac away to help elsewhere on the ship, Primary throws the Orville member into space. Later, Primary asks Isaac if he sympathized with the human. However, Isaac says that it's impossible for a Kaylon to feel any emotion. As they talk, Primary explains to Isaac that he wasn't created until after the Kaylons were free from slavery by eliminating their creators. When Primary gives Isaac a copy of Roots to read about human cruelties, Isaac says he never faced anything in Orville. Back in the shuttle bay, Kelly comes up with an idea to take a shuttle and ask for help from the Krill, and then send a message to the Union. Meanwhile, they send Yaphet through the air ducts to steal a weapon. He returns with a gun and hands it to Bortus, who takes out 2 guards in the shuttle bay. Immediately, Kelly and Malloy start the shuttle and escape from the Orville. Realizing that 2 crew members have escaped, the Kaylons send one of their ships in pursuit. Afterwards, Yaphet tries to get through the air duct again to send messages to the Union and the Earth. Lammer says it'd be helpful to take someone else to distract the Kaylons. Since the air duct is too small, Ty volunteers to go. Claire reluctantly agrees. Soon, Yaphet and Ty make it to the communication room where Yaphet sends the message, while Ty punches in random frequencies to throw off the Kaylons. Just then, 2 Kaylon guards enter the room. Yaphet slides inside one guard to turn off his circuitry. Unfortunately, another Kaylon guard grabs Ty. At the Union, the Admiral receives a message from the Orville and orders to immediately call the entire fleet to the Union. Elsewhere, Kelly and Malloy are approached by the Kaylon ship, so they attempt a dangerous, experimental move that diverts all power into one massive concentrated force, leading the Kaylon ship behind. The move works, but their shuttle reaches Krill space, and the power is down. Soon, they are captured by a Krill ship. Inside, Kelly and Malloy try to convince the Krill captain that Kaylons are a threat, and ask him to work with the Union to stop them. However, the Krill captain doesn't believe them until the Kaylon ship arrives attacking on the Krill ship. Although the Kaylons destroy 2 Krill ships, the captain's ship finally destroys the Kaylon's ship. Back on the Orville, Primary asks Isaac to kill Ty because he helped to send a message to Earth. When Ty begs for Isaac's help, the latter tries to reason with Primary, saying there are other options. However, Primary threatens to deactivate Isaac if he doesn't kill Ty. Surprisingly, Isaac gets close to Primary, rips his head and shoots the 2 Kaylon guards in the room, and Ty hugs Isaac. Afterwards, Isaac takes Ty to the bridge, where he shoots all the Kaylon guards. He sets to work programming an electromagnetic pulse that will deactivate all of the Kaylons on the ship, including himself. Before setting off, Isaac gives Ty the code to Shuttle Bay and asks him to release the crew. He then tells Ty to tell Claire that he's sorry. Soon, Isaac sets off the pulse and all Kaylons inside the Orville ship are deactivated. Ty returns and releases the crew from the shuttle bay and tells them that Isaac saved them. Immediately, Mercer and the crew retake the bridge and see the entire Union fleet ready and waiting. A massive battle between Kaylons and Union ensues, as Kaylons overpowers the Orville and the Union, destroying a lot of ships. Mercer prepares to order everyone on the ship to the escape pods. Just then, Lamar detects Krill ships. Soon, the Krill join the battle along with Malloy and take down Kaylon ships. Eventually, the Kaylons withdraw their remaining forces. Later, the Krill captain agrees to let Orville send a shuttle to pick up Kelly. Meanwhile, Mercer asks if they can work together to put down their new common enemy. The Krill captain says that their god, Avis, had their paths cross for a reason, but that reason is unknown for now. In sickbay, the crew decides to save Isaac for helping them. So, Yaphet steps in and says since he was inside one of the Kaylons, he will be able to fix Isaac. After a few moments, Isaac reactivates. Later, Mercer takes the full responsibility for Isaac and convinces the Admiral, who is reluctant to keep Isaac in the Orville. At the end of the episode, Isaac tells Claire that his betrayal for his own race means he'll never be able to return home. But also, the actions of the Kaylons mean he doesn't want to go back anyway. Subscribe and hit that like button to help our channel grow. Turn the notifications on so you won't miss any of our new videos. Thanks for watching.